Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here with my week of reading wrap-up. This is where I talk about the books that I've read this week, what I'm currently reading, and then potentially could read next week based on my mood. I had a fantastic reading week, exceptional reading week. And a lot of that is due to the buddy reads that I had. So as usual, buddy reads really make a huge difference in my reading life. But let me get started and tell you all about it. So the first thing I read, which was not a buddy read, I did this in audio, and this was Conjure Women by Afia Atakora. Now, I loved the cover. I kept hearing people talk about this. I'm prone to loving a good witchy, healing woman kind of story. So anytime that centers around that type of character, I love it. What we have here is a really interesting setup. So we have a plantation in the South, and there are two timelines, but all feature the same characters. And so we really see how emancipation worked in practice, not just in theory. So we have two main characters. We have Miss Maybelle, and we have her daughter, Rue. We also have Verena, who is, Miss Maybelle and Rue are slaves, and Miss Verena is the white daughter of the plantation owner. And Verena and Rue are the same age. And so Miss Maybelle is kind of like the healing woman, and she has been given kind of exceptional access and an elevated status within this plantation. She is the one that everyone comes to, and she does a mixture of healing and also some hoodoo, kind of charms and spells and things like that. And it's a means for people to take back some power and to assert themselves in ways that are helpful for them as they're enslaved. So it's I think the characters were really great. The timelines are great because you have kind of this, what was going on during slavery, and then what was happening after they realized that they were emancipated, and that the coming fear and anxiety of the war that's breaking out. And you get to see what's happening with the white slave owner and his family and their anxiety and their fear, but not really, the slaves not really understanding what's happening and how this is going to change their lives. So the setup was great. The characters, I think, were really strong. And the timeline was really great. I think the thing that really started to not work for me was at the end, it just kind of trailed and fell apart. I didn't like the very ending. I think that there was a lot of potential and a lot of good things. I'll read more of her work. And it was worth trying, but ultimately it didn't hold together as much. I gave it a 3. I still think it's good to read. Just for me, the ending is so crucial to how I sit with the book and how I rate it. So it was good. It was an okay book. I'll say that. Could have been spectacular. But I do recommend the audio. The audio was very good. Then I did a buddy read. I did a buddy read with Elizabeth of Bookish North of Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own. Now, I think I mentioned before that I had never read Virginia Woolf, and I was terrified, and I just started, and she's just magnificent. And reading with Elizabeth was such a great experience because she also was in the exact same boat. We found that we would highlight similar portions and want to talk about similar portions, but we also have different point of views and could ask each other questions like, well, what do you think she meant? How would she handle this? And our conversation was so interesting that we're going to turn this into an in-deep conversation about what kept us from Virginia Woolf, what we experienced with this book. And I think it's okay to talk about and to watch this if you've never seen Virginia Woolf or never read Virginia Woolf, because there's not really a lot to spoil in that it's an essay, right? And so I think might be of something, if you've been afraid of Virginia Woolf, maybe it would be a good thing to watch. So we're going to start working on that, and we'll keep you posted as we go along. but tremendous experience. And because I've become such a big fan of the Oxford World Classics, I also got this kind of halfway through it arrived. But this is Virginia Woolf's A Room One's Own, and it also has 3 guineas. What I find about these books is the annotations are so remarkable, and they give you such depth, especially for something that's so precise as Virginia Woolf. And so I have ordered a few more of the Oxford World Classics of her work so that I have that as a companion and I can kind of study and read through it. So annotations, editions are great. Then I did, once I finished Conjure Women, I needed another audiobook. And so I grabbed the other Bennett sister as part of janeaustenjuly. And I knew, this is by Janice Hadlow. Now I knew that people said that this is a really long one and it just kind of meanders a little bit. I am one of those people that if I love the characters, I don't mind just meandering with you. And because it was an audiobook and I had it in the background as I was doing other things, I think it made it a better experience than if I was reading it specifically. So this is the story of Mary Bennett, the one that is kind of ignored and laughed at and kind of the joke because she's so studious and she's so serious. And she doesn't have that lightness, and she's a little awkward socially, and but her earnestness really comes through. And I think this book did a fantastic job of really selling that and really bringing her character to the forefront. And it's in the spirit where she's trying to understand, why is she the way she is? What does happiness look like? How can she fit in with her family a little more? And a lot of it starts with the fact that she has decided that she's going to start reading. She's going to do a project. And I love a woman on a project type of storyline. So she's going to do a project. And so she's asked to go into her father's library. And I think to a certain degree, she wants to bond with her father. She's very jealous of her sister's relationship with her father. And I think that she's longing for that. And so she's reading books that she's drawn to, and she's hoping to make a literary connection with her father. But the types of things that she's interested in, because it's her, are the nonfiction. They're the more studious, they're the more thoughtful things. And her father is not interested in that. And so your heart breaks for her as a reader, which I thought was really, really great. And in reading, she realizes that she needs glasses, which just horrifies her mother because, now how is she? She's already plain enough. Now she has to wear glasses. This is horrible. She's never going to get married. I love that they start this before the start of Pride and Prejudice. And so you can see from her perspective what's happening, and with all of the exciting things that are going on with Mr. Darcy and Bingley, and how the family reacts to the impending marriages, and then what happens after her father dies. And where does she go? What does she do? And so she's kind of foisted on different members of the family. And each time she goes, she's able to observe, well, what is their marriage like? What does happiness look like for them? And she starts to ponder this. And she ends up going to a few of the characters that we know, and then going to some characters that we don't know as well. So she spends time with the Collinses, which was very, very interesting, and really, really lovely opportunity to really deep dive into those characters and see what could their life look like after we close the book of Pride and Prejudice. And then she spends time with the Gardners. So this is her aunt and uncle. And that's where I think she really blooms and blossoms. I know, like I said, I know a lot of people say this is too long. I enjoyed every moment. Yes, it could have been tighter, but because I was doing it in audio while I was doing errands and cleaning and busy work, it was perfect. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. So the next one that I completed was This Rough Magic by Mary Stewart. And this was a buddy read with Kate Howe, who is a fantastic buddy read partner. And we just had a great time. So I think I mentioned last time that there was an intersection with Shakespeare. There was a lot of quotes of Shakespeare and questions about is Shakespeare setting of Corfu, was that true? And so there's all these interconnections. So that gave me an opportunity to watch The Tempest, and I put a request out saying I was going to watch it. And thank you for Hannah from Hannah's Books. She sent me a little link to a phenomenal production. And so I was able to put the closed caption on and read it at the same time that I was watching it. And it was just a delightful experience. And it gave me I felt like I understood all of the references that were happening in the book, which was delightful. Really fun story. Supposedly this might be one of her best. And the idea, the premise of this book is that Lucy is an actress from London who kind of has failed at her latest project, and she is kind of licking her wounds, and she's gone to Corfu, where her sister has married a very influential banker, and they have this gorgeous home in this villa complex. And it's right on the water, and there's a boat dock, and there's a dolphin that swims in their cove, and it just sounds like it's perfection. And now I really want to go to Corfu. Like, it's on my list now. And so she's with her sister. Her sister's incredibly pregnant and waiting for her husband and the 2 kids to come. And so it's just these 2 women, and she has a lot of time on her own because her sister can't really travel around and kind of show her around. And is prone to taking naps. And so she is spending time down at the cove. She is meeting the other people that live in the villa and the family that helps them and are kind of like housekeepers and cooks. And a body appears and sets off all of these mysteries. It was just fun. I loved the location. I loved her pluck. There's also an older actor who was on this little complex with his son, and so Sir Julian is a really great character. Something bad has happened, and he's withdrawn from the acting world, and it kind of come to this villa. And so it's a really nice interplay between the 2 of them, hence all of the Shakespeare references. So this was so much fun. I really enjoyed it and look forward to more Mary Stewart books. Next up is a fantastic, just one of the best things that I've read in so long. I have seen the productions of this. I saw the Ben Winslow production of Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. So I had a familiarity with some of the things, and I knew it was set in Oxford, so wanted to read it. And just one reader, and I decided to read this together. Now, I have to say that I was anticipating something a little bit different than I got. I know of Evelyn Waugh because he's friends with Nancy Mitford, and I have a fascination with the Mitford sisters. So I wanted to read this. Number 1, partially set in Oxford. Number 2, because of his connection. And this did not let me down. This book was a phenomenal read. We've got Charles Ryder, who is kind of like he's middle class. He's very lonely. His father doesn't really pay attention to him. So he's kind of, I think we refer to it now as he needs to be seen. He is not seen. And so we have him befriending Sebastian Flight, and we meet the Flight family. And Sebastian is a lord, and he comes from this very, very, very prestigious family. We meet his sister Julia, his brother Brideshead, younger sister Cordelia, and the mother, Lady Marchmain. And there's such an eccentric family. And we really see Charles kind of pulled into this family. And there's so many things that are at play about being seen. He sees a Sebastian as kind of someone who's also also has needs, but they bond together and they really care about each other. And in essence, Sebastian is his first love. And Sebastian is struggling with his homosexuality, is struggling with his family and not being seen and not being accepted, and he's struggling with his faith. In this book, Christianity, Catholicism specifically, plays a very, very heavy role and has a lot to do with a lot of the characters. This is one of those books that has everything. It has remarkable settings. It has class discussions. It has themes of religion, themes of memory, themes of the individual needs versus societal needs. War is always looming here in the background of this book. The writing is exquisite. The characters are deep and very, very complex, very interesting. The settings, I think I mentioned, are remarkable. This really could be a phenomenal read for someone, because it has what I love in a book, where you can read it at surface level and still walk away with so much. But if you want to read it more deeply and more slowly with more intention, it has a wealth of beauty here for you. So I think Juan and I are in agreement. We both adored this book and ended up giving it 5 stars. Yeah, that's one I will read again. Okay, so that's what I finished. Pretty remarkable, right? I mean, I basically had 2 5 stars, A Room of One's Own and Brideshead Revisited. I don't give out 5 stars easily. That means that I will come back and reread this, because there was so much still left for me to plumb, and I'm enticed to come back to it. Now let's talk about what I'm currently reading. So in the vein of annotated books, I have the annotated Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, in continuation with Jane Austen July. So I barely scratched the surface here. This is one of those great books where the annotations are right along the side. I just love it. This is a great series. This is done by Anchor Books. Love it very much. I was expecting like it was going to be a bigger size, but I actually like this size better. I have Mansfield Park and Pride and Prejudice in the kind of bigger size from this company, but love this edition. So I'm going to continue with this. This will probably take me all of July, because I'm just going to read it slowly. Then I have an audio. I've started Jane Austen at Home, but this is by Lucy Worsley. Very interesting. And I realized how little I know about Jane Austen. And so it's giving me a lot of backstory and a lot of information. So I always love that. And the audio is very engaging, very easy to follow. So that's great. And then, so I put up, my last video I put up was my Reading Rush pile of possibilities. And I was having so many problems in trying to find a movie that I've seen that I haven't read the book, because I don't really do that. And then it dawned on me that I do have that. A Room with a View. I've never read the E.M. Forster book, but I absolutely adore the movie with Helena Bonham Carter. Oh my God, my heart just like leaps when I see that, especially the Florence scenes. Oh, just exceptional. And it's so funny and witty and charming. So I think I'm going to change that. That means that I can take off one of my books that I had, my kind of fake book here. I know Sean and Bert were horrified by my answer to this question. I was basically just putting a book I wanted to read in that slot. So that means that I can start Auntie Poldi and the Vineyards of Etna by Mario Giordano. Yay! So I'm going to start this weekend, and I'm very excited because this is so fast and so fun and light. So yay for that. So those are the kind of the three that I have going. But let me tell you what is coming up. So today is the birthday of an author that I have wanted to read for so many years. And that really does seem to be the theme of this year, is I'm going so deep into books that have always scared me, or series, and just deep dives into these different authors or areas. And I'm going to continue. I've always wanted to do this. I was inspired, as always, by Backlist Podcast. They did a whole episode on reading this author. I am starting, and this is going to be a buddy read with my friend Leo from A Little Book Life. We are starting the series, the Marcel Proust series, In Search of Lost Time, and we'll start with Swann's Way. But this one, I am nervous because already I'm like, this says Volume 1, The Way by Swans. I was like, what? The translation there is so awkward. So I have ordered another edition that's coming because I want to check the translations because I got scared. But I just love this series. I love these modern classics, and they're so cheap. They're very inexpensive. So jumping into this, I'm so excited to start. So Leo and I are basically twins on being interested in starting these long projects. So we're going to read In Search of Lost Time together. Then another buddy read I'm going to be starting very, very soon, maybe next week. We still haven't decided. But Elizabeth of Bookish North and I are going to continue reading Virginia Woolf. And we both have this, which is a writer's diary, being extracts from the diary of Virginia Woolf. And so this is going to be, I have to show you, look how amazing that the in papers are there. So we're just going to take this, and I think this is kind of easing us into her fiction. So happy about that. So those are on the horizon. And then my In Real Life book club is going to be reading The Vanishing Half by Bennett. So I need to get on this. I'll probably start this next week. And then my Book of the Month Club choice came in. I really enjoy her writing. Silvia Moreno-Garcia, Mexican Gothic. Now, I know that she's already, her last book, The Gods of Jade and Shadow, got bumped out of the Book 2 prize. And I get why. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't have been able to stack it against some of the other books that are in contention. So I get it. But I really loved a previous book that she did. I'll pop it here. I'll put it in the show notes, a previous book. I can't think of it right now, but it was kind of moody, gothy, kind of book, and made me think of YA. And I really enjoyed. I like what she's doing in playing with genres from a Mexican voice. So excited to read this one as well. I think it'll be a nice fast read. So yeah, so many books. So that's it for me. Obviously, I have a ton of reading to do. So excited. And I need to prep for and kind of get things off my plate for Reading Rush, because that is going to be hardcore. I'm going all in this year. So very much looking forward to that the week after. This is it for me. Would love to know if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts are on them. And please, as always, practice safe social distancing. Wash your hands and don't touch your face. All right, that's it. Look forward to talking to you again later. Bye.